The chicken tractor on steroids adds to that by making compost, by using the chickens to make compost.
Howdy doodle do, doodle doodle do. Howdy doodle do, doodle do.
Howdy everybody. Here we are at the end of week 2 and the beginning of week 3 of the chicken house on steroids. Now it occurred to me after I made the last video that there's some people that might not know what a chicken tractor is. If you remember from the first video, I talked about the chicken tractor on steroids. This is the chicken house on steroids, which is a different version of the same thing, using the same elements. But it occurred to me that maybe people don't know what a chicken tractor is, so I thought I'd take just a minute and explain what a chicken tractor is. Basically, simply stated, and there's many different types of chicken tractors, but it's a chicken pen. It's a pen that is mobile. So normally you think of the chicken pen like this chicken house that isn't mobile. The chicken tractor is mobile, and it has a couple of huge advantages. So it doesn't have any bottom. The chickens are right down on the ground, and every day, sometimes even twice a day, depending on how many birds you have inside the tractor, you move the tractor, the length of the tractor. What happens? The chickens are in there, they're pooping in that area, they're scratching, and that's where the tractor comes. They act like a tractor. So they scratch up the ground, they manure the ground, you move it, and then you have a fertilized piece of land that is softer. It's more scratched up than it was before, like a tractor does. That's where the chicken tractor part of it comes in. Now the steroids part, the chicken tractor on steroids, adds to that by making compost, by using the chickens to make compost. Okay. So we're here. This is the pile that we made. This is the pile that we made last week. The chickens have been climbing up here and scratching through this pile. I've had to come out here every day and build it back up again. And so now what we're going to do, at the end of a week, we're going to turn this. We're going to turn it so the stuff that's on the inside is now going to be on the outside. And the stuff that's on the outside will be on the inside. So I'm going to start doing that right now. Let me get the fort here, what we call a tenedor in Spanish. Watch out, chickens. Watch out, chickadees. Okay, so remember, this stuff I'm going to fluff it up while I'm doing it. Basically, I'm taking stuff from the outside here right now and from the top, where it's the driest, and I'm putting that in the center and the bottom of the pile. And then the parts of the pile that is the wettest, I will, put on top. You can already see this is starting to break down pretty nicely. We're going to add some water here. because the moisture, again, is the key. As you can see, the chickens are up here digging through this pile. They like what's in here. This is still pretty hot right here. It's gonna heat up again now that I've turned it. So we've turned this pile, the first pile. You notice that it's quite a bit bigger than it was when it was over here. But it's the same amount of material. And that's because we fluffed it up. We've made sure that there's a lot of oxygen in there. During the week's time, it settles down some and there's not as much oxygen in there. And that's something that I'm concerned about. And it may be that I have to turn this more often than just once a week, but we're going to do it once a week because that's the way Jeff Lawton did it. That's the way that Billy has been doing it over at Permapastures Farm as well. So I mentioned that the chicken tractor is moved once or twice a day. I think Joel Salatin moves his twice a day because he has like 30 or 40 birds in there, and they can do a lot in a short period of time. The chicken tractor on steroids only gets moved once a week, so that's a big difference. So what's happening? And in Jeff's original one, he has a chicken tractor. He has the bedding that he has in there for the chickens, and that bedding stays for like a week. After the week is over, he takes it out. So here's the similarity. I have bedding right here, and this bedding stays here for a week. I add to it every day a new garbage can full of carbon bedding, and if I have any kitchen scraps, then I add those in here too, and then I put some grain down here so that I make sure that they stay here and they fluff it up a lot. So now I'm going to take this out and put it over here where the first pile was. So now we're going to have two compost piles in the making. This one and this one. So I'm going to start that right now. This is already pretty wet, but I'm going, because I wet it every day, but I'm going to give it a little bit more moisture, just to be sure. taken all of the material out from here, piled it up into a new pile, putting some water, finishing off with some water. Now you may have noticed a pretty big difference between how this pile looks and how this pile looks. This is just mostly grass, and this looks like there's compost in it. Well, there's a good reason for it. Because in here, this is just bedding, basically. This is just bedding. The chickens like to come up here at night on top of this thing. They poop up here, the poop falls down into the bedding, and then after a week, I keep adding to it, carving to it, and then after a week I shovel it out like I did here. So I don't expect that there's a whole lot of composting going on in this here. The composting is really going to happen over here and here. These piles should get hot again. So, as I said, the big difference between the chicken tractor and the chicken tractor on steroids is that the chicken tractor moves every day. The chicken tractor on steroids, the purpose of that is different. You're not actually trying to prepare land for planting or what have you. You're trying to make compost. So you're creating conditions that will allow you to make compost quickly. So I'm going to go out and get the new material, and I'll be right back. Okay, now as before, I have a garbage can full of bedding from the sheep. I'm going to take this, bring it in here, and I'm going to put it down here. This is the beginning of week 3 of the chicken house on steroids. Now we're going to spread this out. It turns out that there's some of the some of the concentrate that I give to the sheep in here. The chickens are going crazy for it. I have to wet this a little bit. Now we have some kitchen scraps. We'll put those in there. And we have some feed, some corn. And I really spread this out. I spread this out because I want them to be scratching in here as much as possible. That helps to break up the grass, the pieces into smaller pieces. It helps to mix the poop and other things. So that's it for the chicken house on steroids, end of week 2. We'll be back in week 3. The end of week 3, to show you how things are progressing again. We may not show the whole process again. I wanted to make sure that people understood what a chicken tractor was and what the difference between a chicken tractor and a chicken tractor on steroids is, and how. And the next video, I'm going to say how my system here is both similar and different from Billy's system over on Permapasture's farm. So if you find these videos to be useful and beneficial to you, please click the like button. That tells YouTube that people are watching it and they like it, and they show it to other like-minded people. If you like the channel itself and the material that we're producing here, please consider subscribing. We only have 12 subscribers on the whole channel, so we're trying to gain some subscribers. So with that, I'm going to say goodbye, and we'll see you in the next video.